I'm sitting in my shed at 9 in the morning and I thought we would like to have a little update on my Fluval Flex 123 Marine. It has been a good while since I set this tank up. It's got to be over a year, and it's gone through many stages. I do get asked about it, how it's doing, and for some updates on it, so here we are. If you followed this tank through from its setup all the way to now, you will be noticing that a lot has changed since that first video, and I've added a lot of things to this tank. So the first thing that will be apparent is there's more fish in here than there was. I added some chromis. In fact, these chromis were gifted to me by one of my subscribers and a friend that I met down a fish shop, and I've known him for a while now actually. He broke his tank down and gave me all of his fish and all of his corals, and these 4 chromis are out of his tank, and you can see they are loving this tank as well. Pretty much the amount of fish in here is it full. We've also got a Midas blenny. In fact, I think Midas blennies could be one of my favourite fish of all time. They are so friendly and active compared to other blennies which hide around in the rockwork and you barely ever see. These things are always out, very quizzical. And then we've got the Grammer. This was the original Grammer. If you remember, I put him in to start with, and then he killed my 5 fish, and then he moved into my 5 foot, and in the 5 foot he got bullied, so I put him back into the 123, and he's settled down a lot since then. He's definitely got a lot less aggressive, and I think partly it's to do with these clowns, these 2 black clowns. They're stunning clownfish, and they show him who's boss basically. They don't let him get out of control, so they're kind of like the bouncers of this aquarium. And then we have this massive cleaner shrimp. Again, this is from the guy that gave me his other fish, as are these corals in the centre. They're the frog spawn and the torch coral. They are doing so well in this 123 Marine. While he's out, you can see this little anemone crab. I'm not sure why he is dragging a piece of codium around. I don't know if he thinks it's some food or something, but I've never seen this behaviour, so if you know why he's dragging macroalgae around, let me know. But he tends to live in this bubble tip anemone that's in the back there. That bubble tip came off my main bubble tip, which is in my 5 foot. It split off, and it was about the size of a penny, or in America I guess that's like a cent. And it's gone really massive now. It's grown really big. And then, yeah, so coral wise, because that's probably the biggest thing, other than the fish, I've added corals to this tank because I wanted to see how they would get on with all the macroalgae. And also, you know, I like keeping corals alongside macroalgae because it gives you 2 sort of different environments in the same tank. We'll look at the macroalgae in a sec, but let's have a look at the corals that I've got in this tank. So obviously we can see we've got some zoas. Now there's a few different zoas in here. I don't know all the different names, but they're in there. They look quite cool, and they're on both sides. We've got some zoas, and then we've got some green star polyps, so soft corals, and at the front there it's blue sympodium. It's normally out, but it got really annoyed by the shrimp crawling all over it, so that's why it's not out at the moment. And then we have a stunning frog spawn and torch coral. So these were given to me. They're doing really well. They're really pumped out. They look beautiful under this lighting. At the back we've got a toadstool, or a pair of toadstools. These came out of my 5 foot as well because the toadstool in there sort of sent off little babies, and I picked them off. I just stuck them at the back and they've grown. They've done well. Got a stunning little black feather duster that's just come out of nowhere. And then at the front we have a little fungia coral, and it's green tipped one, so it's quite nice. They're sort of understated, these corals. They just sit there and do their own thing, but they're nice to watch grow, and when they get big they can get absolutely mahoosive. Now in terms of the macroalgae, what I find with macro is it tends to ebb and flow. So my last video there was a massive chunk of racemosa here on this rock. This rock was just completely green with racemosa, and it's all gone. It's all gone. It just melted overnight, as racemosa can do. And because it's melted overnight, hair algae's come back. So that just shows you how much of an impact macroalgae can have on keeping hair algae under control. Because as soon as that racemosa went, the hair algae came back. But something else that's come back is this little piece of macroalgae here This is Calophora lentilifera, and I never added Calophora lentilifera into this tank, and actually in all of my systems it's just melted away and vanished, and for some reason it's just appeared in this system out of nowhere. And I'm actually quite happy about this, because I haven't got anything like this anywhere else, and I was a bit bummed out that it's all vanished, but here we are, it's come back. And that just shows you how I guess invasive Calophora can be, because out of nowhere, once its competitors vanished, it has come back, and I'm hoping it's going to grow huge. What else have we got in here? We've got Prolifera. This seems to grow really big and then wane. It's in this corner at the moment. We've got Cladophora, which is this sort of green mass. I absolutely love this Cladophora macroalgae. It's stunning. Sort of minds its own business. And if it's not attached to a rockwork, it will form this massive ball. We've got Gracilaria up the top there. There's a little bit of diatoms on the Gracilaria, you can see. Diatoms haven't really gone away in this tank. They seem to just sort of cling on. It tends to be in this top left corner. We've got some more Gracilaria. Ulva on the back wall. Again, another species that sort of comes and goes with availability of nutrients. As soon as the Racemosa died off, the Ulvas come back. So, massive competition between macroalgae. We've got some Botra Claddia. Now this is one that self-seeded. I did add some Botra Claddia to this tank, and it just didn't do very well. It melted away, probably because the other algae are out competing it. And then suddenly, it just sprouted off this rock, and it's growing really, really nicely and looking stunning. So I'm really happy with that, because it's something I've tried to add. I guess the spores, when it melted away, the spores just kind of were floating around, and then they found the place that they wanted to be. And then this side of the tank's looking a little bit weird. I'm not massively happy with it, but I think long term it's going to look cool. We've got some red algae on here. I don't really know what the species of this algae is, but it tends to grow around areas where there's fast flow. So it likes to grow on power heads. There's a little bit of red ogo on that power head as well. It likes to grow on power heads. It likes to grow sort of on cabling and areas just sort of all over the place, but preferably where there's flow. And you can see it's quite an invasive algae. So if you didn't want this in your tank, you'd probably be struggling to keep it under control, because I didn't put it on this corner here. It just sort of spreads by spores or maybe fragmentation, and yeah, it just goes all over the place, but I love it. So you can see, you know, the tank is doing really well. It's gone through, oh, I forgot to mention as well, Taxifolia. There's some Taxifolia. This is one that I'm struggling to get growing for some reason. I've got a little bit there, and I've got a little bit there. The Soliaria that's there sort of doesn't do a lot. And yeah, that's it for the macroalgae and the corals. And the tank itself has done really well. I've really not struggled keeping this tank. It's been so easy, and it's kind of a dream in terms of a marine tank. Okay, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that some of the other tanks do. You know, there's no skimmer on this, there's no UV on this. The lighting is kind of a basic LED light unit, let's put it that way, but it just runs really well. It runs really, really well. I'm super happy with it. I don't do a great deal to this tank at all, other than water changes and feeding the fish. Super, super happy. If you are going to get one, I would recommend definitely getting a power head, just a small one, just to go at the front. And then something else I've added is a surface skimmer. You can see just at the back there, it's a surface skimmer, because one thing you do get on these kind of tanks is like an oil film along the top, because the weirs don't really work very well in terms of keeping the oils and things away. So adding a surface skimmer has transformed this tank, made the clarity of the water really nice just on the surface. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. You can see the Flex is doing really, really well. I'm enjoying it as a tank. It's a stunning little tank if you want something to begin with. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Once again, thanks for watching, and happy fish keeping!